Hello and welcome to Super Rugby Aotearoa Round 2 preview. Yes, we've had two games in the bag already with bumper crowds, and it looks like we're going to have two bumper crowds again this weekend for what we got. First up, we've got the Chiefs versus the Blues. Going to be down here in the Tron, followed up by the Hurricanes versus the Crusaders down in windy Wellington, or wet Wellington, as it looks like it's going to be. And joining me to go through all those games are both Shane and Stephen. How you doing, sirs?
Good, thanks, Paul. How are you?
Good, thank you.
I'm superb.
Cormac, I can see you kind of got some noise and people in the background there. Oh, no, it's Shane. Shane, where are you?
Yeah.
You're not in the caravan. You've got the brick wall and things.
Welcome to the family hotel in West Tamworth, one of the great country pubs in New South Wales. And
the world famous family pub.
you know it now, guys. You're on.
Absolutely. So, kicking us off this weekend, as I say, on Saturday at 7 or 5 minutes past 7 p.m. New Zealand times, we have the Chiefs versus the Blues. And as Ashwin says, Shano is wearing the wrong shirt. Yep, totally agree. Got the old chevron thing going on. We know that chevron things are league, because look, the logo we have for our league show has a chevron on it. So yes, we know that's definitely got to be a league jersey that you're wearing there, Shane. But never mind, we'll let you off just this once. Chiefs up against the Blues. I'll just run through the Chiefs lineup and then we'll get into it. They have Aidan Ross, Samisoni Tekilaho, and Neopo Lualala in the front row. Tupu Va'ai and Natao Arkeo in the engine room. Luke Jacobson, Latchlan and Bashir, Peter Gus Soakula, the Lucies, Webber and Cruden to control things. Leonard Brown and Tupaya in the centres, with Sean Wainui, Sean Stevenson and Damien McKenzie in the backs there. Over onto the reserves, Bradley Slater, Ruben O'Neill, Ross Glenn Heiss, Adam Thompson as the lock replacement, Dylan Nell, Leah Asati, Milo Harris, Caleb Trask and Solomon Alamalo. Shane, quite a few names there that are probably new to you.
Yeah, a few new names, but it's also the Chiefs' depth that's going to be put on show, and the Blues obviously we'll see what they can. We've seen what they could do with their new players, but the Chiefs certainly handled themselves well despite narrowly losing that game last weekend. So new names on show, but more talent for New Zealand rugby.
Stephen, any areas of concern for you there with those new names?
Oh, well, in the Chiefs, we talked about a lot from last week, didn't we? That second row of the Chiefs is certainly an area of, I think, much concern for their team. It's new, it's fresh. It was impressive around the field against the Highlanders, I felt, especially Akoi, I thought was outstanding. He carried the ball very, very well. He got his opposition number trying to tackle him, a yellow card. So, I mean, he's definitely a big lad that's difficult to stop. So, yeah, I mean, there's positives there for the Chiefs, but I think in this sort of competition where there's no room for error, really, it's cutthroat, it's top level, it's going to be tough. Every single week you've got to bring your A game, your best game, and it's going to be a hot bed of experience for these guys and these young guys. So, yeah, we need to see more from them. We need to see more from, especially that line out, Takiaho, Vai, and Akoi. Those guys need to really, really stand up and take a bit of that responsibility. I know it's hard to say for a young guy in a team, but I just really think that, especially in this match, I'm probably sure we'll talk about later, that back row of the Boshiers and the Jacobsons, they need to concentrate on what they do. They don't need to worry about someone else's role. They just need to concentrate on keeping their opposition back row out of the game, effectively.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, Lateral Bashir, this is his 50th game, so congratulations to him. But he is the most capped player in those micro forwards, and he's not really that well known, or you wouldn't call him a leader or a veteran of the side. So yeah, really inexperienced front pack there. But those backs. If Aaron Cruden gets them singing, Shane, they could cause some real damage, can't they?
Can you just repeat that a little bit, Paul, about Aaron Cruden?
Aaron Cruden gets those backs singing with Anthony Brown, Quinta Pyer, and then Wainui, Stevenson, Dan McKenzie in the back three. They can cause some damage, can't they?
Oh, absolutely. You know that Aaron Cruden has that experience, and when he comes on, things just start to explode off the interchange bench. He's probably been, I think, the Chiefs' best player with the minutes, and he's getting plenty of minutes off that bench. And the experience certainly showing to the core. But if you get that back line moving, you certainly can. That's when the Chiefs show their strength. But as Steve rightfully said, the back rowers have to show some form as well and do the hard stuff for the backs to get moving.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to run through the Blues side then that they'll be coming up against. Alex Hodgman, James Parsons, and Offa Tangafasi in the front row. Patrick Tuipulotu and Josh Kukiu in the engine room. Akiri Wani in at 6. Austin Super at 8. And Dalton Papali'i at 7. In the you've got Sam Knock, Terry Black, running things with TJ Fayani and Bowden Barrett in the centre. And your back three of Caleb Clark, Mark Tillier, and Bowden Barrett. Kurt Eklund, Marcel Rekmar, and Sione Mafaleo called on 50. This will be his 50th game. Gerard and Coley Tuotti and Tony Lambourne, the forward replacements. Harry Plummer and Matt Duffy are the back three. Is someone in the pub? Yes. Shane is in the pub. And the pub isn't sponsoring us. It's absolutely disgrace. A disgrace. So Shane, thoughts on that blue side?
Mate?
Yep, go for it.
Thought for the Blues?
Yep. Thoughts on the Blues team?
Oh, look, it's amazing. It's almost like when The Undertaker came back 20 years ago into the WWE with the "He's Here, Are You Scared?" theme. Some nightmares came true for the Hurricanes. So it was great to see Bodie there. Unfamiliar territory, playing 15 instead of 10. But, the back line got moving. Terry Black, what a good game he played. He showed that he had a little bit of confidence learning from the New Zealand 10. I thought the forwards really stood up as well. So I'm excited. I'm more excited than an inland taipan chasing a bush rat. Bring it on.
If we're checking, guys, am I louder now or quieter?
About the same.
About the same. Okay, let's take the game all the way up the other way. And try now. Nope, makes no difference. Okay, sorry, folks. They can't hear me. But sorry, I've just tried to make some changes here to make it louder, but hopefully that helps. I'll just try and talk more clearly. Stephen, we had a show about just an hour ago with a couple of Africans talking about this game. And one of the things we talked about was the unbalanced nature of that back row for the Blues. I mean, Akiri Wani, normally an 8, Hoskins Tutu playing well at 8, and Dalton Papali'i pretty much going to be left on his own to fight the breakdown while the other two just try and carry the ball.
Yeah, it is going to be like that. It's going to be a case of attackers attacking and defenders having to show up and do the hard work, isn't it? Because you've got, mainly for the Blues, you've got a lot of guys who love to run. They love to carry the ball. They love to do that sort of exciting, explosive sort of stuff. But yeah, no one to do the hard work and the breakdowns, and no one to do that that not seeing stuff that can ultimately win games for teams. So yeah, big guys, big runners. The Blues are going to be pretty safe when it comes to carrying the ball. But against it, when they're defending, when they're trying to control that breakdown, which we've seen in round one was so important because of those penalties coming from it. You've got to get there fast. You've got to secure your ball. You've got to get it laid back quickly. You can't move, all those sorts of things. So they've got to really step up that game. Akira Ioane needs to show he's more than just a guy who loves to run and try crash over people. And on the other side of things, Jacobson and Boschier need to be guys that are really good at the breakdown. But I think the Highlanders nullified them really, really well in round one. If they do that again, somehow the Blues, they certainly will have that advantage. But yeah, you're right. It's a big back row. It's a powerful one. But yeah, like Ashwin says in the chat there, Papali'i's the only guy. He's a good in breakdown, but he's the only one that's going to be in the breakdowns. That's where they could find trouble if he gets isolated in tackles, if he gets in the wrong area of the field where the players. He's going to have to be really on his game to stay ahead of it and secure the ball for the Blues so they can keep going or defensively try and shut down the Chiefs.
And guys, normally I'd say if you've got two big eights or two big guys like that in your back row, then you're going to have problems with lifting and generally at lineouts. But the Blues team stole a bunch of lineouts from the Hurricanes. The Chiefs lost lineouts last weekend. Actually, it's looking like this team could dominate the lineouts, and that could cause the Chiefs all sorts of problems, couldn't it, Shane?
Oh, it could. It was a bit uncharacteristic to see the Blues steal a few lineouts, given that they played the reserve. You usually compare the Blues to the Wallabies, but in this case, the Blues really look like a professional outfit, and if you can get possession of set plays, you can start gaining ground up the park too.
Yeah, so Colin, Shane, Moneyway Malthus, what's your prediction for this game?
My prediction is the Blues by a point.
Blues by a point. Oh, Steve?
Yeah, I've gone quite a bit bigger than that. So I'm going a large one for the Blues. I've gone the Blues by 11 points. So a whole double figure for the first time this season. I just think around the park, they're going to win that forward battle, and on the attack, they're going to be hard to stop. Going forward, they've shown they're a really, really good side. So we'll see how it goes, but there's definitely areas of concern for both sides.
Yeah, and so I'm going Blues by 3. So yeah, that's what's that's my one. So we're all going Blues there, all heading the same way. Moving on now to the Hurricanes. And let's quickly run through the lineup there. So Fraser Armstrong, Dane Coles, Tyrrell Lomax, with James Blackwell and Via Fafita in the engine room. Princip, Karifi, and Ardi Surveyor are the Lucies. TJ and Jackson Garden Bashop are going to run things. Lamapi and Arso in the centres, with Ben Lamb, Wes Hooson, and Chase Tia in the back three. Off the bench, we've got Asafar Amua, Ben May, Alex Fidel, Scott Scrafton, Gareth Evans, and then they've gone for a 5-3, not a 6-2 bench with Jamie Booth, Billy Proctor, and Corbus Van Wyck. A better bench there for the Hurricanes, Cornflake, but concerns around the front five really for this team, isn't there?
For the Hurricanes, yeah, I mean, they've got a pretty. It's good, but it's not great. And what they're coming up against is, I think, going to be great, because that's what the Crusaders do bring to the game. So, yeah, I mean, pressure goes on that second row, like we kind of talked about with the Blues, of having a lot of imbalance and big players. You got Via Fafita who's starting in that second row. So, although I think that's good in other areas of the park where they can target that back row, having effectively 4 loose forwards, it may well hurt their line out a little bit by not having that sort of specialist guy in there. And we've seen last week, the line out, maybe they've just thought, well, let's just park the line out. We won't worry about that at all. We'll just target other areas of the game and put our best players on the field. Now, as we've got an Australian fan, joining us here, it's pretty easy to say that doesn't always work out the best way, just putting your best players on the park, no matter what jersey they wear. But seems like that could be the way that the Hurricanes are going, if they can get the best out of them in the breakdown rather than the set piece and other areas like that. So we'll see how they go. But there's good players. They just need to step it up to a good level, especially against the Crusaders.
And Shane, if they do get any kind of platform, that's a back line that can cause damage again. Just some question marks around Garden Bashop maybe being able to unleash them.
Yeah, I've had concerns over the front five for the Hurricanes, and who's wearing the 10 and 9 jumpers for at least a year and a half now and it's a consistency. If you don't have the consistency, you can't get results. But we all know, and I'm the Aussie, as Cornflake said here. But in New Zealand, when it comes to New Zealand games, round by round, these things are unpredictable. And you just never know what Hurricane side will show up on the day. But then again, I think we all know what the Crusaders like to do.
Well, yes. Let's Ashwin asked in the chat what's happened to Fletcher Smith. I think he's injured currently. He seems to get injured quite a lot, unfortunately. But yeah, otherwise you'd have thought he would be in with the shout, having some game time at the very least. But let me just now run through, as we've already kind of mentioned this Crusaders team. Let me run through the lineup then. Joe Moody, Cody Taylor, and Michael Alatoa. Samuel Whitelock, not a bad addition. And Mitchell Dunshay in the engine room. Cullen Grace, Billy Harmond, and Fetu Douglas are your Lucies. Bryn Hall and Richard Mwanga will control things, with Jack Goodhue and Braden Enor in the centres. And then George Bridge, Sever Reese, and Will Jordan in your back three. Coming off the bench then, Brody McAllister, George Bauer, Oliver Jaeger, Luke Romano. Oh, yes, look, another All Black. Ethan Blackadder, Mitchell Drummond, David Havili, back from a bowel surgery, and Lester Fayenekuku. There at the end. Shane, with these guys, it's always a matter of, well, where's the weakness to target?
There's never been a weakness with the Crusaders over the last 4 seasons. Mate, they're scarier than a drop bear, as we like to know in Australia. They really are. They're just this side that knows how to attack. They know how to defend. They know how to keep their set pieces constant. When players like Wyatt Crockett and those sort of players left the scene, new players developed in that area. And it comes from the success that they have at Mitre 10 Cup level at Canterbury, and I'm sure the grassroots below that. So it's just a system. It's just a system. And no, Ashwin, not a drugged up koala, but I think that if you wanted 23 attacking koala bears, you got it with the Crusaders. I've missed doing these lines.
So, Steve, I'm again well-drilled outfit. A side that's the systems they have there in both in Canterbury and in Tasman with the Crusader Academy. Look, it just keeps breeding players, doesn't it? We talked earlier in a previous show, and you highlighted perhaps the Lucies as being an area of clutching at straws concern.
Well, I mean, it's a bit like with the Crusaders, isn't it? You look at their team and you're just like, it's always so good. And you're saying, well, there's got to be somewhere that a team can look at and focus on an area and say, maybe we can get something off them here or some sort of advantage, because you've got to go out with a positive attitude that you can actually beat them somewhere on the park, let alone look at the scoreboard after that as well. But I've kind of thought their back row is an area of inexperience. But like you just said, it kind of comes back the other way. That's why they're so good, is because that inexperience is been there already. And so they're inexperienced in caps. You see Cullen Grace, a 20-year-old, only got 6 games to his name, and Billy Harmon has only got 8 caps in a Crusaders jumper. So that's an area I think the Hurricanes can look out. And I think, like I mentioned earlier, with putting Biafafita in there in that second row, he's in the team, he's in that pack. And if they're going to go 4 big guys in their back row that they can try and get something and put pressure on these young guys and try and get them to crack under the pressure that they're going to exert on them, could be something if you're really going to, like say, clutch at those straws. But it's something that they have been in already. They've been in this environment. It's not like they're fresh signings, in their 3rd week around these players at the Crusaders. They've been here a while already. Billy Harmon's already had 3 seasons at the Crusaders. So although he's not played much, he's trained with them for all this time. He's been around all these players. He knows the moves. He knows the plays. He knows where to be. He knows his role. which is probably the most important thing, because that's what he will do. And the Crusaders are very good at getting players to do what they need to do and not have to worry the likes of Afetu Douglas, who just can concentrate on his job. Like we talked about with the Chiefs, when you've got those other guys in the back row covering the second row and experience. I don't think you'll probably see that the same with the Crusaders. It's kind of sink or swim stuff. They'll be put out there. This is what you do. Don't worry about anyone else. Just do what you need to do. So if they're going to attack somewhere, that's who they've got to go for. Try to put pressure on the young guys and try and make them into errors, make mistakes, and get those penalties at the breakdown in any which way they can, whether it be bullying them or just being more aggressive at those sort of areas. They've got to have some sort of thing they can attack.
Yeah, and whilst I think the Hurricanes will get attacked by this back, the outside backs, I think also the Hurricanes could potentially attack these outside backs. If you can get players if you can get some of the bigger players running into your Severisas, your George Bridges, they're not Braden Reynolds, they're not the biggest guys around. So if you can get your Lau Mappies out there, or get your Dane Coles running down those sort of channels, hopefully you might be able to bounce a few of those off. So a couple of options there for the Hurricanes, but it does sound like we are going to be we are clutching at straws, and we're not very positive, are we? So Shane, what's your call for this one?
Well, firstly, I think the Hurricanes have just got to mix and match their game, but I said the Crusaders by 15.
Whoa, he's going big. Over 2 tries, over 2 scores lead there. Cornflake, I know what yours is going to be, but go on, tell the listeners.
Well, I mean, something that we've not really talked about this game, and in an area I think alongside the positional place that the Hurricanes could attack them, is the fact that the Crusaders haven't played yet in an actual match. So these other teams have all played that game where they can acclimatise to them, if you will, these new, not laws, these new ways that the referees are cracking down on the laws. So that's something the Crusaders have not had match experience in just yet. So if there's any way they've got to go out, the Hurricanes have got to go out hard, they've got to go out fast, they've got to put 20, 30, 40 points on them in the first half. Unlikely, I know, but they've got to dream big. Yep, dream big, because you know what's going to happen? Second half comes along, the Crusaders are going to start rolling. And when they start rolling, they are just like a big steamroller going straight down the tarmac, and they're just going to squish anyone in their way. And if they get adapted to the way the referee's ruling this game, it's going to be curtains before you get on. And the warm-up match, Ashwin, come on, a rigged draw between the same inter-squad side, no chance at all. This is not match. That's not big match, 20, 30,000 people sitting in the stands sort of preparation that they're going to get from this. This is going to be hard on, and they're going to just top level sort of stuff they've got to go for. So my pick, although it seems like I'm talking up the Crusaders a lot, I'm only going to pick them by 4, because I still think the Canes are going to get something out of the game, but ultimately they're going to get pushed over late on.
So, and yeah, that pre-match was 31-all, which does give a certain suggestion that defence was slightly optional at times. When people didn't want to get themselves injured. So, yes, as far as meaningful hit-outs go, you're right. The Crusaders have not had a meaningful hit-out. I'm going Crusaders by 3. So, yes, I'm backing both the away teams. So we're expecting 2 away wins this weekend, guys. That's a bit of a long ask, really. The other thing that Ashwin points out is that the Auckland First 15s kicks off this weekend. A lot of club rugby kicks off this weekend in New Zealand. Obviously, Shane, being in Australia, you don't have the joy to get to any of those games. But Cornflake, have you got? Are you lining up any club rugby to go watch this weekend?
In the icy coldness, I would highly doubt it. I'll be working anyway, so no chance for me. But it'll be about -2, and not very friendly for club rugby. But yeah, I'll be keeping an eye on results. But I wouldn't imagine I'll be getting to the mud pits of Southland club rugby.
Well, I'm going to be trying to get out to Melville versus Hamilton Old Boys tomorrow. Catch up with Minty, the radio commentator for the Waikato and Bay of Plenty, during the Mitre 10 Cup. So yeah, looking forward to some club footy as well. Thank you very much, Shane. Thank you very much, Steve, for joining me this evening. Don't forget, folks, you can check out Cornflake's YouTube channel as well if you want to hear more of him talking about rugby, or him commentating on esports rugby as well. Esports being a new hip trendy thing during lockdown. Well, Cornflake's been at it for years. he's an experienced guy in that field. So thanks everybody for listening to New Zealand Sports Radio. Don't forget, you can listen to us as a podcast. Check out iHeartRadio, iTunes, Spotify, all those places. Just search for New Zealand Sports Radio.